mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 1, Episodes 1 and 2 of the new Apple TV series entitled Severance. I'd seen some stuff about this show kind of prior to it coming out that kind of piqued my interest in it a little bit. I'm like, I'm wondering about this one. Seems pretty interesting. Then the show was released last Friday. And over the course of this week, today is Wednesday, the 20, whatever it is, of February. And throughout this week, I've been seeing more and more things pop up about how good this show is. And then I started getting comments on other YouTube videos like, hey, dude, you should check out Severance. I'm like, okay, I was already interested. I'm seeing great reviews for it. And now I've got people commenting on my videos like, hey, you should check this show out. So here I am. I watched the first 2 episodes. I fucking love this show, man. And like, to give you an example of how much I like these first 2 episodes, after I finished watching these first 2 episodes, I decided to stop covering Pam and Tommy on this channel. Hear me out. Because I'm just like, why am I committing so much time to such a mediocre show when there's shit like this out here that I could be talking about, really deep diving into? Like, I'm really excited for future episodes because, you know, when I do these first 2 episode kind of reviews, when they do these drops, I kind of just, you know, give these no spoiler like reviews or thoughts like, okay, whether or not I liked it or not. And I don't get to really go into too much detail because I don't want to spoil it for people who are watching this to decide like, hey, is this something I should watch or not? But when I start covering it week to week and I get into these spoiler reviews and I get to start talking about the show in detail, this is the kind of shit that excites me, is being able to talk about shows like this. And not just sitting here watching like Pam and Tommy, which just feels like a fucking Ryan Murphy version of this story, and sit here in front of this camera and review this goofy ass show that's just like, it's okay. When there's stuff like this that's so exciting, so new, so different, that's really fun to talk about. So I'm definitely gonna be covering this over the next 7 weeks. It's a 9-episode season. Apple dropped the first 2 episodes last Friday, and they will release 1 per week each of the next 7 Fridays. And yeah, man, I absolutely love this show. But before I get into what it is about these first 2 episodes that I love so much, I want to do what I kind of call the boring stuff. And I personally don't think it's boring because these are kind of things that help me know whether or not I want to watch a show. But I want to give you guys a little bit of a rundown on who's involved in this show, where you might have seen them before, that kind of stuff. So, like I said, it's a 9-episode first season. I don't know. I'm only 2 episodes in. Everyone's only 2 episodes in, but I don't know if this is something that really has like a multiple season run. I feel like they're just gonna do this one season. I don't know how you do something like this for multiple seasons. But then again, we haven't quite gotten down to, I guess, I don't want to say what the show is about, but what's going on in the show. And then maybe once that's fully revealed, I can look at it and go, oh, this is something they probably could pull a couple seasons out of. But right now, this kind of feels like a 1-season thing. But 9 episodes. It's created by Dan Erickson, who I looked him up on IMDb. He doesn't really seem to have any other credits, but he serves as writer on 6 of the 9 episodes, or writer or co-writer. And another big name you're going to recognize who's involved in this show is Ben Stiller. I mean, if you don't recognize the name Ben Stiller, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this guy's been in so many things over the course of the last, 20, 30 years. I don't know, but Ben Stiller serves as executive producer. He directed 6 of the 9 episodes. He directed the first 3, and he's directing the last 3. And so far, fuck, what a great job he's doing. And then it stars Adam Scott, who I think most recently people would recognize him as probably like, I think we would say he probably has the biggest male role on Big Little Lies that comes on HBO. That's probably where you'd see him from most recently, but he's most well known for being on Parks and Rec. Played Ben on there. So that's probably where most people recognize Adam Scott from. You got Zach Cherry is one of those guys that it seems like he mostly does cameos on things, but what he brings to whatever it is that he's appearing on is something that's so unique, and it's like this dry kind of humor at times, and he's great on this. in these first 2 episodes as someone who's just interesting and funny, and he brings that into everything he's on. He had a really entertaining, just like one scene cameo on Succession. It was like sometime in season 2, whenever it was that Roman kind of like, I don't want to say infiltrated. I think it was the park that Greg worked in at the beginning of the series. But he was somewhere, and he was kind of like, he was going through like an orientation or something like that, not pretending as if he's not fucking in charge of the whole thing. And he has like a conversation with Zach Cherry's character in like a locker room or something. It's like a brief, I don't know, 30-second kind of just like back and forth between the two of them, but it was really entertaining. And I think, again, most recently, what you might have seen Zach Cherry in the most was he was on season 1 of You. He was the guy that worked in the bookstore with Joe, season 1 of You. And then John Turturro plays a major role in here. I couldn't even begin to run down all of the things you might have seen John Turturro in. Same thing with kind of Ben Stiller. Like, he's been doing this forever. He's been in everything. I think, John Turturro's been great in a great number of things. I think you probably if I could guess, I would think the thing people probably most recognize him from, I think he was in like the first Transformers movie. Something like that. He might have been in the first couple, I'm not sure. But John Turturro's been in so many things. Like, it's ridiculous. You pull up his IMDb, it's probably going to be over 100 fucking things. I don't know, but you once you see John Turturro, like, I know that guy from something. And then there's Britt Lari. I don't know if it's Lauer or Lower. I kind of feel like it might be Britt Lower, actually. She has a pretty extensive IMDb list, but nothing that I've really seen or anything that seems like she had a huge role in. It seems like a couple appearances here and there on various things, but nothing I've seen. So I don't really know her from anything. She kind of looks like Emily Blunt to me, but that's neither here nor there. She's very good on this show so far. And then, despite having a incredibly well-known and well-accomplished director and executive producer in Ben Stiller, despite having a pretty damn good cast with Adam Scott and Zach Cherry and John Turturro, they still managed to roll out Patricia Arquette, who I knew was on the show, but then also Christopher Walken. Like, where the fuck do you get Christopher Walken from? I'm like, oh my God. They got Christopher Walken on here? I did not know about. So Christopher Walken pops up in episode 2, and it's like, oh man, now they're really stacking the cast here. But like I said, great cast, great people involved. So let me talk about the show a little bit. The concept of the show is essentially, imagine that you were 2 people. A version of you who was your regular everyday person, who, when you're just outside of work and you're going to the grocery store or whatever, you're that person. And then when you go to work, you have an entirely separate personality, an entirely separate life that exists only at work. So when you leave work, you don't remember shit about work. And when you come into work, you don't remember shit about your personal life outside of there. So that's the basis for the title of the show, Severance. They essentially sever the part of your brain that connects those 2 lives. So that way, and there's it's not fully fleshed out yet, but there's something that happens within this building that I think kind of like flips a switch, essentially, that turns you from your regular everyday outside person into now you're the work person and you don't remember anything about your personal life. And that sounds like an interesting kind of concept on its face, but then also it raises a lot of interesting ethical and moral questions about, if you do this voluntarily, that's one thing. And then there's actually an argument that takes place between Adam Scott's character Mark and some protesters on the street about the idea of forced severance, like, making people go through this process and all the ethical issues that come along with that. So, there are people who feel like, they have to do this they're being made to do this because the information that they deal with at this company called Lumen is so sensitive, they don't even want you to have any recollection of it when you leave work. So it's like you go into work, you do whatever fucking dirty business you do, and we still don't know exactly what it is they do yet at this job. That's going to be exciting to find out. That's one of the main things I think we need. I think that's actually like the main purpose of the show, is figuring out what it is that Lumen does and what it is it's having Mark and his crew work on. But having material that's that sensitive that you don't even want anybody to even be able to recollect what they did while they were at work, that's some really wild shit. And then you also have, like, what if somebody does this on purpose? because they want to split those two lives. They don't want to have that kind of connection. You talk about work-life balance. Maybe that helps with your work-life balance if when you're not at work, you don't have any recollection or memories or feel like you've spent time at work. That's like a voluntary work-life balance where you don't have it, but you feel like you do. So there's all kinds of cool questions and debates that can come from the ethical nature of what they do on this show. But at the end of the day, it's super interesting to see not just how it works, how they operate, but to see how the characters behave within the job versus how they behave outside of it. Now, so far, we've only seen Adam Scott's character, I believe, outside of work. But it's interesting to think too, like I'm thinking, like, what are these guys going to be like if we see them outside of work? They even discuss it because they have a term for it called outies. Like, they wonder what their outies do in real life, like outside of work. They don't know. And I wonder if we're going to see that at some point. I bet we will. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of connections among these characters outside of work that they just don't know about because outside of work ends once they get to work. But it's cool seeing a lot of the ways that this company operates as far as manifesting that severance. So to give you an idea, actually, a good transition here would be to kind of talk about the look of the show, because the look of the show is really interesting, and I want to talk about that because it plays into, I guess, the feeling that the show wants to give you as far as how separated what it is these characters do at work from everything else. So, like, when you go in the office, particularly in the area that these people work in, it's very pristine, white walls, feels very quiet, feels very closed off. There's a scene where Adam Scott's character, I think it's at the beginning of the first episode, where he's walking to wherever his desk is, and he's walking down like 18 hallways for like 5 minutes, and it's like, you look at it like, okay, this is taking a really long time. I'm also like jotting in my notes and shit while it's happening, so I'm a little distracted, but it just gives you an idea of how isolated this place is, and further heightens that idea of these people just have complete and total separation, not only from their personal lives, but from everybody else. Like the room that they work in is like a big room with just their 4 desks in like one cubicle. And it's like, you have these people however many stories underground, going down however many hallways before they get to this big giant ass room just for their 4 fucking desks. Like, and it's just meant to show you just how isolated these people are. And then I think that also relays how important whatever it is that they're doing is to the company that they work for. Another thing that I thought was really cool about the show is I like the creativity. We don't get too many of these new and creative concepts and conceits behind these shows, and I like to see something new like this. And it feels very much like a Charlie Kaufman film. This show specifically feels very much like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which I did a retro review on this channel. If you go to the retro reviews playlist, you can find it. But that's one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's mostly because of just how different it is. It's something new. It's something I've never seen before. It's a creative concept, and this has very big Eternal Sunshine vibes. After I watched these first 2 episodes, I listened to I forget the name of the show. It's Andy Greenwald's podcast. Somebody else just put me on it. And I haven't even listened to it that much. But I saw, after I watched these episodes, I saw that they had an episode where they talked about Severance. And I went to, it was maybe like 35 minutes into it. I just fast forwarded up to that part to listen to them talk about it. And they said the same thing about it being like a Charlie Kaufman film. So if you're a fan of Charlie Kaufman stuff, you're definitely going to like this. I'm a huge fan of Charlie Kaufman stuff. So that's why I'm so into this show. So it's incredible how crazy it is. So let's see. I talked about the central mystery, the Charlie Kaufman stuff, the look, the long hallways, all this good stuff. So basically, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to kind of use this to build upon the future 7 episodes or videos that are going to be on this channel, because I can't wait to deep dive this one. And if you're somebody who likes my deep dives, we're going to have a good fucking time with this one, I'm sure. You look at, the way I deep dive Succession, the way I deep dive Yellow Jackets. Speaking of which, I think this show is going to be 2022's Yellow Jackets. And what I mean by that is Yellow Jackets came out of nowhere in late 2021. It was a similar thing to this where, people started telling me about it. I started seeing reviews and I started watching it. And I think I watched Yellow Jackets, the first episode, shortly after it aired. I watched it before the second one came out. So I was on it pretty quick, but that one is one that just kind of like built up momentum throughout the year. I think it helped that it followed the Dexter reboot or whatever. I keep wanting to call it rejuvenation. The Dexter New Blood. It's not really a reboot either. Whatever. But I think it helped that it followed Dexter. But it just picked up momentum, and it was something that everybody was talking about for like 10 weeks. And it was a really good and entertaining show, and I think it snuck up on people. I think that's what this is going to do. It's only been, it's been less than a week since these first 2 episodes came out. I'm on it late since it's been about 5 days or so. But I think as this show continues to air and Apple continues to drop episodes, this is when I think this is going to build up like Yellow Jackets too, because it feels like it's going to be that good. You got the great directing, you got the great characters. Ben Stiller's done an amazing job. The look of the show is incredible. The concept behind it is incredible. There's so many mysteries to unpack, not just what the company does, but I think we're going to find out some interesting things about what these characters' outies do in real life. There's a character who was part of their 4-person crew that we don't meet until after this character has already been let go from this company, and then that character is reintroduced later in the show. And now what this character is going to bring to this dynamic is going to be interesting. Like, there's so much cool shit and so many cool directions that this show can go, and I'm super fucking excited to cover these last 7 episodes. So, 16 minutes, longer than I thought. I'm going to wrap this up here, and I will see you guys on Friday for episode 3. I don't know when I'm going to get it out. My goal is to actually try to get up early on Friday morning, watch the show, record the video, start it uploading, and then I have to actually go into the office again this week on Friday. So I want to get it done before I go into the office, because if I don't know if I'm going to get it done. I can watch it while I'm out, but I won't be able to record the video until I get home. And I'd rather kind of get this out before I go to work than get it out after work. So that's what fingers crossed, I'll have this out probably super early Friday morning, like super early for me, like maybe like 9 o'clock, something like that. And that will be the routine going forward for the next 7 Fridays. If not, I'll watch it during the day at some point, and then I'll get the video recorded when I get home from work. So until Friday, or maybe Saturday, but probably not, probably Friday, peace.